Hi everyone, we're trying to go live again. So let's see what happens this time. I hope I can hear Yashu.
Anyways, I'm really excited for the show. Yashu's here. I'm really excited for the show. I hope that you guys like it. We have some guest speakers, so that'll be awesome. I see people are coming on. I'm just waiting for Yashu to join our live, and then we can get started. Can you hear me? Yay! Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so it's working this time. I wonder what happened last time. Technical difficulties. All right, Yashu, I've sent you a request. Anyways, follow India.Currents if you don't already follow us. We do a lot of journalism, community journalism, elevating minority voices, South Asian entrepreneurs. That is the theme for this live that we'll be doing today. I see send request. Okay, see what happens with Yashu. Um, So yeah, today's topic is that of Desi entrepreneurs, and we have Yashu. Yay!
Can y'all
And
hear
I
me?
yes.
Woohoo! Okay,
Uh,
everybody. I had to bring out the iPhone. I had to bring out the iPhone. What's up, everybody?
hey girl, hey.
Hey, I'm so
Second time's the
excited.
charm.
I
Me
know,
too.
right?
I'm really excited. We have some really awesome people that are joining us. I've never even heard of some of the stuff that they do, so I'm really excited to know more about it. And thank you to both our entrepreneurs that'll be on our live today because they've taken the time to join us, and I'm really excited to introduce who they are too. So, yeah, Yeshu, what are your thoughts on Desi entrepreneurships?
So it says still having trouble hearing you. Is that me? Can people hear me? Can you hear me, Srishti?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great too. So guys, do let us know. We really do appreciate it. I know Instagram be tripping and not letting us be amazing, okay? But we're gonna try to cooperate and try to bring it together for you guys. But yes, today is going to be an amazing episode. We are featuring Desi entrepreneurs, okay? Because I know this whole month we've been talking about Desi careers, and how we've kind of really narrowed down, careers when it comes to Desi communities a lot to, the hierarchy, doctor, lawyer, engineer, business people, but it's more on the corporate professional level and not really on the creative side. So I'm so excited for today's episode featuring two amazing Desi entrepreneurs who have done so much to kind of go against the tide, if you will. And so I'm super excited about that. And me personally, being my own entrepreneur, I am also a Desi entrepreneur. And just the battle that has been for me, and just, kind of speaking from my experience, I feel like there's two really important things that I have, really come across being a Desi entrepreneur. And if you guys can relate, for all of y'all who are tapping in, be sure to comment below, communicate, ask your questions. Today's the day to communicate and let people know, what your thoughts are on Desi entrepreneurship. But for me,
Yeshu. Before you keep going, move back a little bit just so we can see your beautiful face. Thank you. Yes.
okay, cool.
Awesome. Keep
Right.
going.
So the first, I think, difficulty that challenge I faced being a Desi entrepreneur is convincing my parents. I think that was really hard for them. Anything that is out of their norm. My parents came from India. They were immigrants. They came here as highly skilled professionals. My dad was a scientist, right? So knowing that my family didn't come from a line of business people, nor were they having the guts to do something like business, because it does come with a lot of risk. It does come with a lot of investment at times, right? Depending on what kind of business you have. That was something that I was very much kept away from. So for me, the idea of being a business person in general, even taking on a business degree. I remember I wanted to go into international business right out at high school. My parents were like, hell no, you're not doing none of that. So, you know, but now I'm so proud to say that I am an entrepreneur. I have my own coaching service company. I am a confidence and lifestyle coach. And for me, the journey has been so good. And I just started a couple of months ago, and I love what I do, and I love the feedback I get from my clients. So I definitely feel like this is my passion. But the argument that I do still have with my family is, am I in a stable job, right? So I still got my PhD going on, and I do my entrepreneurial dreams on the side. But my hope is to change that narrative and be a full-time entrepreneur in the near future. So that's definitely been a struggle for me. And if any of you can relate, go ahead and comment below. I know
A
Srishti,
PhD with an entrepreneurship side gig. That's like
right,
a real hustle, honestly. Yeah. PhDs
right.
are not easy, but I think it'd be really interesting if you finished your PhD and then you pursued your entrepreneurship, because that would definitely go against the grain of what is expected of someone with a PhD, right? And so that, I mean, also you would have a little bit more under your belt, because you can say that, you know, I've chosen this other path after having completed this one. And I feel like not all of us get that, that breadth of things, right? Like I can't say, oh, I have a PhD under my belt and now I'm doing this other thing. So it has like credibility. And I think it's good to talk about that element of it as well, because like I know that you faced a lot of hurdles getting to the point where you are now, and like a lot of it was that you were just like, okay, I'll just do this part of this to appease my parents, and then I'll do what is really my passion project on the side. And some people just choose not just to choose just to do the thing that's their passion project and not even take their parents' feelings into account. So like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I don't think there's one right way. I'm just wondering, like, what made you do both versus not just picking one?
For sure. That's a great question. And I think it has to do with my journey, right? So for me, I had no idea of what entrepreneurship really even was. I didn't even know that that was even a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I went on the side of, you know, my parents' guidance and did the Desi thing to do, and went through, you know, being a science major, an engineer, and then my PhD. But through my engineering kind of journey, I remember I took one course in my undergraduate, which was an entrepreneurship for mechanical engineers class. That was the first time I ever heard the term entrepreneurship. And I didn't think much of it. I was just like, oh, this is kind of cool. But I never really dove into entrepreneurship until now in my life, especially amidst COVID. I realized that I was providing my service for free to a lot of people. Like I was offering myself, helping people, and people were gaining a lot of insight and were feeling like, hey, Yashu, you should do this full time. And when I started hearing feedback like that, I was like, wait, is entrepreneurship something I could really take on? And that's where I started to research a little bit about it. And then when COVID hit, and my PhD was kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen, I was like, well, let me dive into this and see how it goes. And as I became more involved in this journey, I noticed how much I have to offer to people, and how having a company, I have more structure than, you know, talking to a girlfriend, giving her advice, or talking to someone on the street and giving them advice. So I felt
Right.
like, you know, having that really did help me. But with that being said, another challenge, and this will be my last bit before we get our other entrepreneurs on here to share their journeys. But my second challenge that I faced is my whole theme goal, if you will, had always been to provide mental health support, to be a Desi resource, right? Mental health support for the Desi community specifically.
Mm-hmm.
However, I noticed that the Desi community is very reserved, and I can understand why, right? And we'll dive into that very topic later in our upcoming months when we dive into a little bit about mental health and things. But I think our community is a little reserved about, you know, approaching therapists or counselors or talking to life coaches. It's almost like, Why do I need a life coach? I don't need a life coach, right? But then I see, like, I work with my clients, and I'm so happy to say I have a few Desi clients, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, dang, Yashu, like, this helps me so much. Like, oh my God, this has been a breakthrough week for me. Like, this was awesome. Like, thank you for teaching me this technique, or thank you for, teaching me this. And for me, I'm proud to say that my coaching company is very unique. So I'm actually redefining the traditional methods of coaching and have created my own custom blend of coaching, mentorship, and therapy combined into one. And that's why my format is very different from other life coaches and other coaching companies. And I did that because I thought that's what a lot of our Desi communities need. They need an outlet to be heard because they're frustrated with their marriages, with their abusive partners, with their schedule, with the career they're stuck in. They need someone who can relate and talk to. And then the second part, mentoring. I see a lot of people who hit me up saying, wow, Yashu, you have so much confidence. You have so much courage. How did you do this? How did you tell your parents about da, 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 da? How did you go about that? So I felt like there was a lot of mentoring moments that I had felt that came in. And of course, traditional coaching, which is those exercises, the homework assignments, and developing a system and accountability. So putting all those pieces together, I came up with my business structure, and I'm so proud of it. And I love what I do. But it's definitely a challenge to reach out to the Desi community saying, listen, you do need help. And I can help you.
Yeah. I mean, cultural competency, whether that be in coaching, mentoring, mental health. I mean, I think all those three things really go together. And so having that like cultural background of like learned experiences that people can learn, also learn from, or shared experiences that people can learn from is so, so important. So that's why we were doing this live. And I'm going to bring Yashu back at the end for kind of more insight into what she hears in our interviews. But I think we should delve into our interviews now, if that's cool with you.
I'm so excited. The people we have got for you guys today are amazing creatives. They're amazing people. I'm just so excited, and also just because I have my second company that is brewing up, and it's kind of in alignment with what these creatives do as well. So it's going to be a teaching moment for me, as I start to launch Air Studios Entertainment Conglomerate. So I'm so excited. So I'm gonna drop off. We're gonna get our amazing Desi entrepreneurs right on here, and I'll tap back in at the end to conclude this, okay? So see you guys there. I'll be in the comments. Don't forget about me. I'll be in the comments.
We will not forget about you, Yashu. We will not. I saw Monita was really excited about the topic and that you're a life coach. So I am really glad that Yashu is here to like guide us through the process, have these conversations, because it's always good to have more insight. So our first person that we will be interviewing today. She is a Florida seamstress and cosplayer that creates unique lingerie and costume designs. She produces and sells educational resources for lingerie and costume making. This is so niche. It's so interesting. I've actually never heard of anybody that does it. Her Instagram handle is at Rice in Cosplay. She'll put that in the chat. So let me bring her on. And at Rice in Cosplay is spelled RAISINCOSPLAY, just in case you guys are wondering. So we'll wait for her to join. Rice, let me know if this is worked. Okay, awesome. It worked. Hi.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to meet you. Nice to meet you. Meet you. So tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you're doing. I want to know more about you. So does everybody else.
My name is Raisa. I was born in Bangladesh, so y'all say Desi, I say Deshi.
Nice.
But I am a cosplayer and seamstress. I grew up here in Florida. My pronouns are she, her. And I just graduated with my bachelor's. I'm currently working on a master's degree in business management. So that's kind of my background, but basically my company is I produce and sell sewing patterns and costuming patterns, and I and I make resources, YouTube videos and Instagram posts and things like that to help people make costumes.
So did you do your undergrad in business as well? Or
No, my undergrad was in political science. So I'm kind of lucky in that that's also my passion. Obviously you always have that talk with your parents about what your major's gonna be, but I'm lucky because I do enjoy political science, and that was my bachelor's degree. And I hope to also go Yashu's route and pursue a PhD in it as well. So
awesome. So then are you still working a full-time job in political science and then pursuing your entrepreneurship on the side? Is that kind of where you're at right now?
No, right now I am a full-time student in grad
master's
school.
student.
Yeah, I'm a full-time master's student. I did work at Joann part-time. I just left my job at Joann to kind of focus on my family and myself. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's really exciting that, you have two skill sets that you can really pursue. So what did your parents think? I know this is a little off the book, but like, what did your parents think when you told them, what your side hustle was or what your other passions were?
Right. So I have literally been sewing like since I was a child. Like my mom, it was like a basic life skill, taught me how to use needle and thread.
Me too. My mom taught me how to embroider. Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. But I kind of took that and like I started making doll clothes and stuff for my dolls. So it was never a surprise. I was always into sewing. I always had my parents, they bought me a sewing machine. I was always into that. But the cosplay part, and for anyone in the audience that is not familiar with the world of cosplay, it stands for costume role play, and it just means that you dress up. It's like Halloween every day. So you get to dress up. You make a lot of it is about making the costumes yourself. From my favorite comic books and like sci-fi is kind of where it all started. And a lot of people, when you go to Comic Cons, everybody's dressed up. That's what cosplay is. So that part for my parents was definitely weird. My mom is super savvy. She's super young and like she's totally into all that stuff. So it wasn't weird for her. But for my dad, for sure, he was like, why are you wasting your time instead of studying and focusing on your studies? But as soon as I opened my Etsy shop and I started selling those patterns, he was like, oh, you're making money off this? Oh, like, you can go get
you can do this all the time? Oh, yeah, you can do it full time.
Right. So it was kind of hard for him to wrap his head around, and especially when he went to my first comic book convention with me in 8th grade, he was totally weirded out. He never went back. But
he went to Comic-Con with you? That's pretty bold.
Of course, he wasn't going to let me go by myself with my friends or whatever. He was like, oh, heck no, I'm going to go with you. But he saw it. That was enough for him. He was like, all right, go with your friends next time.
That was my next question, because cosplay can be especially... it can be a little bit more sexual, or like it can be a little bit more out there in terms of, because it's not even sexual. I would just say it's like embracing your body in all these different ways. And so, I don't know, the outside perception of that can be that it's like overly sexual. It's like, I can't imagine taking my dad to that in 8th grade and being super uncomfortable, but like, what does he think? I don't know if you're making costumes like that, because I looked through your profile and it seems like they are pretty badass, but they're not like, overtly too much. So like, what did he think?
Yeah, so he still says that like the one that I'm currently working on, I made like a breastplate for it, and it's like booby armor. He did say, oh, are you gonna wear this lengthy armor? But it's I'm Muslim, so I just focus on like modesty and modest characters, and I have nothing against the girls that do sexy cosplays or anything. Like, I wish I had that kind of confidence. I totally 100 support that. I do feel that like modesty in cosplay and like modest cosplays and stuff and women in armor is slightly less represented, so I definitely embrace that part. I definitely try to do modest cosplays. But yeah, I agree that it's like definitely got like a very sensual aspect to it. There are a lot of girls out there and guys that rock.
I find it empowering to see. I mean, yeah, like I totally agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There's like some lag. But I totally agree. Like, I personally don't ever dress like super overtly sexual or anything like that, but I love how empowered, or that people can take on a character and feel so comfortable in their own skin going to Comic-Con. I've always thought that was an endearing quality of it. But I can see it being taken out of context or taken in a weird way. But that's awesome. So how's your revenue stream being a Desi entrepreneur in this cosplay world? Like, what are the challenges you're facing? What are the advantages you have being doing that work?
Yeah, so there are a couple, but like as soon as you say the word challenges, right off the bat, the number one thing that comes to mind is definitely colorism is unfortunately really prevalent in the industry and in the community. Even though you might not be cosplaying a character that's white, if they are fair-skinned, anybody that's not fair-skinned will get flack for that, for cosplaying. They'll say, oh, Naruto's not black. Naruto's not, dark skin or whatever. And that's
I remember they did that with Star Wars too, where they were like, oh, like a stormtrooper can't be black or whatever. So that's like I didn't realize that was like such a harsh narrative that exists. You have to play the part as like either that race or white, or like what's the distinction?
So I definitely don't think that it's like even like hugely prevalent in the community. It's just something like that when you are going to put yourself in a character's shoes, you will face that as somebody that has darker skin. Even if you're white and you have a bit of a tan, you might be confused if you're ethnically ambiguous, or if like unless you're fair skinned. Even Asians who are fair skinned, I think, especially because in Japan and everything, in China, cosplay is so huge. It's not like unusual to see Asian cosplayers, but Southeast Asian and South Asian, Black cosplayers, Native cosplayers, they have a harder time simply because of their skin color. And you don't have to, like, I don't go out of my way to dress up as dark-skinned or Deshi characters, but I definitely do. When I see them, I'll be like, okay, I have to cosplay
That's me.
But I feel comfortable. I've never felt like, oh, I don't look enough like this character to be this character. So
yeah, but that's what it is. Yeah, you just have to do you and not be worried about what other people think. I think Yashu asked a question, so I just want to ask it to you. What's harder, making the design or making the instructions of your costume?
Definitely the instructions. So like I said, I sell like patterns, so I sell templates, and the one that I just released or re-released is an updated version of the breastplate for the armor right now that I'm working on. It's Commander Shepard from the video game Mass Effect. And it's so easy for me. I feel like I've been doing it for literally over a decade now. It's easy for me to come up with patterns, draft them, digitize them. But it's the having to, do the illustrations and the instructions that's definitely the hard part, yeah.
Yeah, because then, so you're selling the instructions so someone can make it themselves as well?
Right.
And can people also buy your product, like what you make?
Not at this time, because it takes it's like really involved. Like just for one piece, it can take upwards of 60 hours. So I think of myself as an educator and sell those resources. It's really similar when you go to Joann stores or something. Any garment that you're wearing comes from a pattern, which it's like a template. You go to Joann and you buy a pattern from McCall's or Simplicity or Vogue, and it's basically a sheet of paper, and it has the shapes that you need to cut out, and then cut out the fabric of those shapes. If for armor, you use foam or some types of plastics and things like that. So what I sell are like the templates plus instructions that come with that.
Yeah, she said it's like a PhD thesis, which I could imagine, because I've seen, even I knit, like I'm like, oh, I don't know, like always when it gets more complex, you're like, this is really hard. So I can imagine that you creating it on your own is already difficult, and then writing it down for other people to replicate it is significantly harder. Okay, so let's wrap it up, Raisa, with the last question, which is, why don't you tell us a little bit why you were working within the cosplay industry, and then what is your brand? How can people find you? Where can they buy your products? All the good stuff that we want to do to support you and elevate you as a Deshi entrepreneur.
Yeah, I definitely haven't talked about the lingerie side of my business. I actually have more lingerie patterns in my shop than I do cosplay patterns. And the way that I those two, you wouldn't think, but they're actually very connected. So things like corsets, lingerie, and you see all the superheroes that wear latex bodysuits. Those are all under the sewing umbrella of shapewear. So once I started, one of the very first costumes I made was a bodysuit. And in order to know that, you also kind of get into corsetry and historical costumes and bras and stuff. And that's how I got into bras and lingerie. And I feel like having a cute set of lingerie and like wearing it, it's a really great way to feel confident without anyone knowing what is making you feel confident that day. It's like something it's a confidence that you can have for yourself. And that's kind of why I love lingerie. And that's why I do both those things. They're definitely related when it comes to how I make those things. But the way you can support me is the biggest way is my Instagram. You can give me a follow on my Instagram. My shop and all my links to all of my social media are in my Instagram bio. And that's absolutely the best way to support me is give me a follow on Instagram. If you want to buy some of my patterns and get into that, that's great. But my Instagram is definitely the biggest way to help me out.
That's awesome. I love learning about this so much. I wish we had more time to talk about your lingerie because I think that is such a great way that, you know, to phrase like that you feel confident without anyone having to know why. And like a lot of lingerie is not really made well for our bodies. So
right.
I'm really happy that we had this conversation. Hopefully we get to hear from you more sometime soon. So thank you so much, Raisa. Please follow her at RAISINCOSPLAY. That's pretty good. All right. Bye, Raisa.
Bye.
All right. So our next entrepreneur is Vaishali. She is a new entrepreneur with her recently launched accessories collection called Vaishali LA. While managing a new business, she's also balancing a full-time marketing job, a strategy job, 2 elementary school kids with a bunch of things that life is throwing at her. I'm already exhausted reading about what she's doing. So I'm really excited to bring her on. Let's bring her on to the live, sending a request. If you want to follow her, oh, she's here, so she can tell you. Hi, Vaishali.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Perfect. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Creative propping, so hopefully it stays up. Hopefully my phone stays up.
Same, mine is propped against my laptop every week. I don't have the full setup. But
Same.
yeah, thank you so much for joining. I know this is pretty impromptu and I'm really excited to have you here. So yeah, let's get into it. Tell us who you are, what you do, where you're from, what's going on.
Yeah, perfect. So Vaishali, as you mentioned, I am based in LA. I have a full-time job as a marketing strategist and have been doing that for quite some time. And then I have 2 kiddos. They're loud, so they're currently not home. My husband did a great job about taking them out, so I can have some peace and quiet here. They tend to poke their heads around in all my Zoom meetings, but it's fine. We're all trying to make working from home the best. But yeah, I started my entrepreneur career just last year, kind of underground for a couple of months before I actually launched at the end of last year. But yeah, I'm starting off the jewelry band. And before I forget, I first wanted to thank you guys for having a platform like this where entrepreneurs can come on and share their story. I think everything that you guys were talking about up front was right on point about like hierarchy and how important entrepreneurs are against, you know, corporate brands and corporate jobs, etc. So I just want to applaud you guys both for setting this up for us.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this place is a safe space. I think the thing that we try to preface all this with is that if those are your jobs, we're never one to say those are not good jobs to hold, right? But it's always hard to take the non-linear path or the non-traditional one. And honestly, like, I love hearing from everybody. Like, we have such a wide age range of people pursuing so many different things. Like, even at India Currents, people that write for us are from like, you know, like 15 to like 90. So it's always like there's so much insight to be gained, and I'm so happy to get to hear from you because you reached out to me and I actually like looked at your products and they look so cool and so cute. I would love one for my hair. So that's awesome. Like, what inspired you to start designing? How did you get into it? I know you already had your marketing job, so how did this transition come about?
Yeah, honestly, I think entrepreneurship is run in my blood. My parents were entrepreneurs, my sister's entrepreneur, my other sister's an entrepreneur. So it's definitely been in my blood, and it's been something I've been thinking about, and locking in the what is always the hard part. And unfortunately, my career has always been successful. I've held some pretty badass jobs that I'm proud about. But because of that success, I always put aside the creative side of me. I'd make purses here and there for friends and make cute little jewelries, but never really like pursued it. And then when I did start, it was last year. Thank you, COVID. I was furloughed for 2 months, and that really hit hard because other people have been fired for me to take their job. Other people have been laid off, and now all of a sudden I was furloughed for 2 months. So I took that opportunity to really understand what value I wanted to bring to my community, to the world, what I wanted to leave behind after I left, and then also what my identity was, right? So I think as you go through the stages of life, you are given identities. Well, first of all, when you're born, you're given an identity as a Desi person. But as you go through the different parts of your life, you're married, so now you're the identity of a daughter-in-law or wife. You have kids, you've got this identity of a mom. And with that comes this perception of this is how you should act, this is how you should be, this is your role. So during those 2 months, I really took a hard look at my life, what I wanted to do moving forward. And I really just netted out with, my identity can't be my job, can't be what other people tell me. I was not a stay-at-home. I was attempted to be a teacher to my parents during the first part of COVID, and that's not for me. And so
it's a hard job.
It's a very hard job. I was pulling my hair out by 2 p.m. Honestly, I think I was drinking by 2 p.m. But I needed to really focus on myself. So I did, a lot of journaling. And I said, you know what, I have this passion and interest with fabric and accessories and jewels and anything that's beauty, that's beautiful. And so that's kind of where I went down that path. And I actually started down a different line. But that's my secret project, which I'm not ready to talk about yet. But as I'm working on that, I started exploring jewelry and, things that make me feel excited to wear, that flow, that move. Eventually my path is to really start mixing and merging both my Indian culture and like the American culture. So really trying to take in maybe a nice little jhumka or jhumka earrings, some nice little cute little gungra earrings. And how do I make that comfortable for us to wear with our American clothes, and then also non-Desis to wear with their American clothes? There are some people who are very scared to wear ethnic jewelry, but I want to make sure I want to share that with the world and make sure they know it's okay to wear things from other ethnicities and other designers.
Yeah, I mean, appropriation is such a complex, long topic that we've explored a little bit in our Desi talks, but it's hard. It's hard to know where's the boundary, where's the line. But it sounds like, of course, we're Indian Americans. We're not just born from one space. We're from so many. And I think creating accessible culture that people can appreciate, understand is always important. So that's awesome that you're thinking about that. And also it's cool to hear that, you come from a lineage of entrepreneurs. I mean, that means like you have the support network, I would assume, to like inspire you in your pursuits. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah. So there's pros and cons. So agree. The community I've grown up with has been very supportive of entrepreneurship and businesses. However, I believe that they're more supportive over certain types of businesses. So again, this may be going back to the hierarchy.
Right.
But service-based businesses such as a hotel, a store, liquor store, Subway, name it, anything that's service-based is more proven. And so I feel like our community feels like, hey, other Indians have done it, so go down that path. Right. Why go down a path that's not traveled yet? Or why go and create your own path and do something different? So I think there's a little bit of that bias. And then it's also jewelry. So I think that sometimes falls into the bucket of fashion, frivolous, not important. It's art. So again, kind of lower in the class of what's important. And so I think that's the challenge I'll have because I'm so new. I'm still haven't shared fully with my entire family that I'm doing this. Maybe they'll know after today.
Yeah, you can share this video.
Exactly. My immediate family knows and they're supportive. But I wonder, right, as I start spreading it out and sharing, I think perception is going to be the biggest challenge. What do they perceive me as an entrepreneur that should be respected? Do they perceive my business as something that should be respected? So I think perception is going to be my biggest challenge.
Right. I think Yashu and I have talked about this a little bit in the past, and you really hit on it really, really quickly, but it's an important thing that you said. It's like the road untraveled is a cause for fear and anxiety, and it comes across as judgment and like preventing people from doing certain things, right? It's like whether that's dating or entrepreneurship or career or whatever it may be. A lot of times it's fear driven. It's like, well, we don't know what stability you're going to have because as immigrants, we didn't have stability. So like, we can't let you just do this thing and throw your future in the garbage can. But you know, like even if it's not your parents, it is still like other people's lived experiences, which they're projecting on you. Right. So that I think having this conversation, hopefully they can understand like you're coming from this space of like understanding your identity, and it's a means of expression for you, it sounds like. So, I mean, that sounds, yeah, right? I would think,
Absolutely.
and people were asking if the earrings you're wearing are actually yours because they love them. Yeah.
I'm sitting next to a whole table of stuff I probably need to clean up. But yeah, this is what I love is it's like being an architect in a way. You've got all these pieces and structures, and what can you pair together to create hairpins or earrings? So yeah, these are definitely mine. But going back to the perception thing, I'm older, 40 maybe. I've been in the boat where when you're younger, you've got the community and your parents who are trying to shape you and for the best reasons, right? And so there is that feeling of, I should do what they say. I need to be a good Indian girl. I need to get married. I need to do kind of all the right steps. I think when you get older, those perceptions hit you a lot less. I have a successful career. This is my side hustle for now. So it's not that I'm throwing all of my health insurance away, my 401k benefits. I'm not throwing all that away. I'm balancing both. Granted, they won't see how I'm balancing and what all I'm doing, right? But in the end, it's for this to prove to myself and also prove to those folks watching or those who are just starting off that you can pursue something that is different than being a doctor or being in marketing or being in, owning a hotel as a business. So I think with age, knowledge, and sort of the confidence, that all helps with starting this side hustle. Maybe that's a little bit down the road less traveled.
I know. I feel like it's actually more challenging actually to start it when you're older, like you said, because there are certain expectations of you versus when you're 20 or whatever, people are like, oh, you're young, it's a phase or whatever. And if you make it, you make it. If you don't make it, you don't make it. It's like less of a thing. So I love that, you're a mom of two, a married woman, you're just going for it. And that's what strong women do. You don't identify as one thing, and you're not like pigeonholed by one job or one identity. I will say, I think it's pretty crazy that you're able to do all of that with kids, especially during the pandemic, because I have worked with kids and kids are hard. They take so much time and energy. So major kudos to you for having creative energy after dealing with kids, Yeah.
And honestly, it came from that. I was on the brink of like a mental breakdown because work. After I came back from furlough, a lot of the folks were furloughed. I was doing 2.5 people's jobs. So every day I would shut off at 6 p.m. and start back up at 9 and work till midnight, work till 1 a.m. and just be brain dead. And I remember just saying, okay, you know what? Time's out. This weekend, I'm not doing anything work related. And husband watched the kids. I was able to go out shopping, and I don't know what made me really just focus on jewelry.
Yeah.
And that weekend, my eyes were just wide open. Like, this is amazing, and I love what I did. And even if I don't share it with the world, I love what I did myself. But ideally, I'm able to share my story with everybody else.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I think glorifying the entrepreneurial experience is also not smart, because it does take hours and like no sleep and constantly being on your phone, probably checking multiple emails. It is not easy. I cannot imagine. But I need to wrap it up. So before we wrap it up, let's tell everybody about what your brand means to you, how we can support you, where we can buy your products, what they mean to you. Yeah,
absolutely. So my brand is focused on confidence, positivity, creativity, and then you guys will start seeing some changes in my jewelry line where I start fusing together some traditional Indian designs. So you can best find me through my Instagram channel. My website is still in development, so eventually that will be live. But yeah, I look for everyone's support. I somehow got kicked out of Facebook, so I'm locked on doing any advertising.
Oh.
So word of mouth would be great. And honestly, even if you don't buy anything from me, I think it's just if you can see my vision and see the positivity that I want to bring. All of my jewelry pieces come with a cute little quote just to remind yourself on how amazing you are every time you open it up and put some earrings on and put a hairpiece on. So any support through Instagram would be the best.
Awesome. It actually, Yashu has been posting your Instagram handle throughout the chat. So thank you, Yashu. Please go check out Vaishali. Support your Desi entrepreneurs. We're all impacted by COVID. It's rough out here. And obviously, as a mom of two, and not even if you're a mom of two, you're working crazy hours. You're spending a lot of energy on the side, putting, effort into showing the South Asian identity in the most positive light. So thank you, Vaishali, for joining. I really appreciate it. And you have any last words?
No, that's it. Just thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank
Nice chatting with you. Bye.
Bye, Vaishali. All right, we're going to get Yashu back on the call. I'm so happy we had two strong women come and talk to us about Desi entrepreneurship. I feel so inspired, even though I'm not an entrepreneur. So maybe I need to start a side hustle. Hey.
Let me tell you. Okay. These women, okay, first of all, we got some women entrepreneurs in the house. Let's get it. Let me see some love. Everybody who's tapping in, you better drop some hearts.
We got some strong, badass women doing some self-love. So obviously we need to be super proud of our South Asian identities, our Desi talk is, I'm so excited that people found us and are able to tell their stories, because like you've said, Yashu, everything is learned, right? That's what you do. That's what everybody's doing here, is they're sharing their narrative, and it's resonating with other people. And if other people can learn something or just support these entrepreneurs, that's what matters. That's the most we can do.
Absolutely. And we got some badass women up in this house. Okay. So shout out one more time to Raisin Cosplay. Okay. Y'all better go follow Raisin Cosplay. You don't know how to spell it? Raisin Cosplay. Raisin like the fruit. Cosplay. Okay. And be sure to check out our amazing jewelry designer and brand, Vaishali LA. Okay. Based in Los Angeles, California. Vaishali LA. Again, everything has been posted up in the comments. Scroll up, give them a follow. Y'all need to go follow. And of course, follow India.Currents and myself, the Yashu Rao, as well as my co-host up in here.
Problems. But follow India.Currents first. You'll find me.
I just love the creatives that we had today. Two completely different fields, different art creatives, right? Which just blows my mind. And I have so much respect. Reza, who came through today showing us how she turned cosplay lingerie into her business model and had created not just products, but she turned it into technical files and has been working on educating people, which I think is so amazing. And then we had Vaishali, who is this badass. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a market, she's a businesswoman. She do everything. Okay, she's doing all. She's doing everything.
Both of them are doing it all, and everything. I think the unifying concept that I got from both of them is they're really empowering South Asian Deshi women, right? This is a diaspora. It's so broad, but finding the things that make you feel good with who you are and how you identify. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to belong, we're trying to feel good in our skin. I know that's what you do too, Yashu.
Oh,
yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course. And I'm just so excited. I know me and Reza have done many collaborations together. She stitched 2 of my lehengas, which are one a very traditional looking one, and then one which is very funky, bringing in that Indo-Western, mix. She made a Easter themed lehenga for me, which was super
Oh
dope.
my God.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
it was so awesome, and I'm so excited to hear about Vaishali and her brand. As some of you may know, I'm an earring model, so for me, like, y'all know my earring collections. I've done many lives. Like, I'm earring lady, okay? So people call me the earring lady. So I would love to do a collaboration with Vaishali as well. Get her some representation of down over here on the East
Yeah,
Coast
use
a
her
little
in your
bit.
modeling. I love my earrings too, so I'll wear them if I get them on the live.
For sure.
Earrings are definitely my mode for self-expression, so I so resonate with that portion. And I mean, I think both of them are doing such their ingenuity is like incredible. Like, I love the ways in which they're doing all these different things and how they're exploring all these different areas that I've never even thought of exploring as an artist myself. Like, it's great. I love it. And I think this has been a really fun live, at least for me. I know, Yashu, you didn't get to be on it as much, but I learned so much.
You saw me in the comments, okay? You saw me in the comments. I was losing my ish because you know what? A common word that every single entrepreneur said today, which just made my heart warm as hell, was confidence. Vaishali went in there. She said, listen, I'm all about installing confidence through my brand, showing people you can do what it is that you want to do, and your identity is not defined by your 9-to-5 job, by your husband and your kids. And Riza said, listen, I have a lingerie line, and I love what she said. She said lingerie is that confidence for yourself, and I love it. I love it. I love it. So today, I mean, my face is glowing, my heart is warm. I feel so good.
No, it was wonderful. I mean, I love talking to you the whole time as well. Of course, you're amazing and such a cool co-host and so helpful. I want to put it out there. Yashu does so much work for these lives, and she's a great co-host and such a good add to India Currents. And she found us Raisa, correct me how I'm supposed to pronounce it properly. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. And then, of course, Vaishali, who actually reached out to us. And so that means Desi Talk is working. It's working. People are hearing us and want to spread the message. And it's great. I think we should probably end the live now because it's been a while. But please tune in next week at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST, and we'll talk about some new topics. You'll see the Yashu Rao, you'll see India.Currents, you'll see At Problems. Yashu, you have anything more to add?
Listen, I can't get over this. This was such a great episode. I'm so excited. And guys, be sure to tap in for the rest of what we got going on for Career Month. Okay, this is Career Month, and then we got some amazing months coming up with some awesome themes. And if there's something that you guys are looking for, you want us to talk about, be sure to tap in on the comments, DM the India.Currents. Let us know what it is that you want to hear from both myself and Srishti coming to you guys every week, okay? And again, support your local entrepreneur, Yashu, as well. Listen, my calendar's open right now with a couple of more slots. I can work in some more clients. So if someone's trying to work on clients,
so I want to put it out there again. It was Risa. I think I was pronouncing it correctly for the most part, but please follow at Rice in Cosplay.
Raisin.
But I think it's her name, so it's Rice in Cosplay. Okay, Raisin in Cosplay is the way to spell it. And then at Vaishali LA, who makes beautiful earrings and hairpins. Follow at the Yashu Rao, who's a confidence coach and model. I actually also do some art hustling on the side. Follow At Problems if you're ever interested in acrylic pours or structured paintings. And obviously follow India.Currents. We're doing all the writing and the lives. So yeah, let us know what topics are good and what else you'd like to hear from us. But of course, we're going to keep curating content. If you ever want to be on our lives, hit us up. And it is raisin like the dried fruit. So it's all over the place. Sorry.
But you know what I just thought of right before we're about to shut this off, guys. BT Dub, we're about to shut this off, but I just have to say it before I lose it. But Srishti works for a nonprofit and that in itself is his own entrepreneurial journey. So we need to get in on that, honey. We need to get in on that. And I think I have one more guest speaker who also works for nonprofit. Maybe we can bring him on as well and see if we can, try to get some insight on nonprofits, because I know that's definitely been a passion of mine, to discover, to learn more about how we can get involved with that and what are the pros and cons of it as well. But peace and love, people. We out.
Bye.